Hey everybody, Eric here from AMP. Today we're going to show you the Stinger Electronics HEIGH10. You may have heard of the Elevate 8-inch floating multimedia system. The HEIGH10 from Stinger Electronics is a 10-inch floating multimedia system. Let's take a look at what's included in this product. Right inside the box, you've got the 10-inch HEIGH10 display. We've got the control module or the brain for the radio. There's the mounting bracket and hardware here, the accordion boot, and a box full of accessories. Let's take a closer look inside some of these boxes. First is this large 10-inch LCD display screen. This protective piece of plastic on here, you'll want to remove that when you put it inside the vehicle. There's your volume and power button and the forward control buttons and an IR receiver. And on the back of this awesome display, the mounting provisions here and your 2 connection points for your LVDS power and video cables. Next up is the all-important brain or control module for the HEIGH10. Here you have the serial number and the part number. On the back of the module, all the inputs and outputs. We'll get into those in a little bit and we'll explain what all of those are. There is a picture of the connector with a pinout on there, which is helpful. And the HEIGH10 will use your phone's internet connection for navigation. This is the double DIN mounting bracket. There is an optional single DIN mounting bracket available, the SCSDIN. It is adjustable. It can be mounted vertically, or you can tilt the display backwards and install a set screw there, or install a set screw here. To remove the display, you're going to lift up and then tilt the screen down toward you. So to reinstall the display, lift up and latch it in. This all-important piece is the accordion boot. It actually is not needed for some installations, depending on where you mount your HEIGH10. You may recall the bracket we just looked at. This gets slipped right over the top of the bracket. If you peel back the rubber just a tiny bit, you'll notice it says top right there. That lines up with where it says top on the mounting bracket itself. Slips right into place just like that. Depending on the installation in your vehicle, where the HEIGH10 screen mounts with the front of the dash of the vehicle, some of the boot may be exposed, a little more, a little less, or some installations you will not need the boot at all. This is the accessories box that came with our HEIGH10. Let's take a look inside and see all the cables that are included with it. Lots of goodies in here. They're wrapped up. We're going to unwrap these so we can take a closer look. Here are the 2 LVDS cables. The first is the USB LVDS video cable. The second is the power cable for the display. Connects between the HEIGH10 brain and the display itself. If your installation requires you to mount the screen in one location and the brain of your HEIGH10 in a different location, there are 5-foot extension cables available for both of these LVDS power and connection cables. Those are sold separately. Next, we have the standard GPS antenna, and we've provided a magnetic mounting surface. So if there's nowhere in the vehicle to stick the antenna, this has adhesive on the back. Just throw that inside the vehicle, gives you a place to stick the antenna for GPS. HEIGH10 also includes a microphone for Bluetooth hands-free calling, as well as Android and Apple VR, and 3 mounting brackets. The steering wheel control connection harness has 2 inputs. It has a steering wheel control wired input for resistive-based vehicles, and it also has an optional input if you want to upgrade with the separately available infrared remote. If your vehicle has CAN bus steering wheel controls, you will need a CAN bus adapter before connecting into the wired steering wheel control input. This is the audio camera input harness. This is the connection for the camera itself and microphone. If you're using a reverse camera that has audio, this will play the audio and video signal back on the HEIGH10 screen. This is your satellite radio input harness for Sirius XM. It's to be used with a Sirius SXV 300 tuner. This harness provides 3 additional camera inputs for a total of 4 camera inputs into the HEIGH10. These 3 inputs also have trigger wires. There's a speed sense if you're using the onboard iGo nav, and this is going to plug into the back of the head unit as well. So this is going to give you a total of 4 inputs into the HEIGH10 display. This large harness with lots of RCA connectors is your AV input-output harness. So this connects into the back of the head unit, has a subwoofer outputs, front and rear RCA outputs, has your AV input for an external source. There's the reverse camera input, steering wheel control connection wires here, and 2 video outputs. So these would be for connecting to external headrest monitors in the back of the vehicle. These are the same video output, they're not switchable. They're going to put the same feed out to both monitors. This is your main radio power and speaker output connection harness. This has all the power ground, speaker outputs, as well as navigation wires for your navigation head unit. Also in the box is this nifty little L bracket here. This is to secure the brain to the mounting hardware. So slide this down in here. There's a spot for it. You'll see there's 2 set screws right here. So this is actually secured in here. There's 2 screws that come in here to screw that into place. And then the brain slides into here. And it's finally secured into place using the 2 screws right there. So this bracket here, mounting the brain to the HEIGH10 display bracket, allows you to install this as a standard double DIN. Using these holes here, you can literally mount this into any double DIN kit. You don't need a special kit to mount the HEIGH10. So this can be installed into virtually any vehicle that you have a kit for. Next is this little wedge type adapter here. That is made for the mounting bracket. It goes between the screen and the bracket. The bracket's adjustable vertically, but this wedge lets you adjust the monitor horizontally. So let's say the dash is pitched a certain way. You can actually put this bracket right on here. This little peg lines up with that little hole, and that's going to pitch the monitor off to one side. If you need the monitor pitched the other way, simply put the bracket on this way, pitch the monitor toward the driver. So that's going to allow you to tip the monitor sideways, and then with the vertical adjustment, you'll be able to line the screen up directly where it's ideal for viewing. You'll also notice there's several sets of mounting positions. You'll want to make sure you choose the best position for your vehicle when mounting the HEIGH10 screen. Screws go through the back and secure the monitor into place. You'll use 4 screws and just use the best location for your application. And then there's the HEIGH10 installation guide. This is going to show you all the pieces and how to assemble everything. Taking a look inside here on the second page, you're going to see a few things itemized. Bags of screws. We're going to come with all those accessories here. Screws and back straps as shown here. We definitely tell you on page 5 where to use which type of screw. So you want to definitely pay attention to make sure you're using the right screw in the right location when assembling the HEIGH10. It shows all the bracketry we discussed, the adapters, lining up the brackets and using 4 screws to mount the display to the module. And towards the back of the manual, it gets into other things, remote mounting and other options of tilting the screen and all your connection cables. Let's take a look at some of these connectors that are on the back of the brain for the HEIGH10. First is your GPS antenna here. You get your main connection harness for the radio. There's the RCA connection harness. There are dual USB ports. The top port is for connecting a phone for Android Auto or CarPlay, and the second port is for connecting either a thumb drive or a hard drive. This system does support FAT32 as well as NTFS, so you can hook up a thumb drive or a hard drive for video and music playback. An HDMI input, your LVDS connection for video and power. These are your camera and RCA inputs and outputs. Inside here is your Toslink connector, and then you've got your antenna, your AM/FM antenna. This is your AV connection harness with all the RCA connectors. It's keyed, so it's only going to go in this one way. This is your main power and speaker connection harness. This is our multiple camera input harness. It gets connected here. This is the XM connection harness. That's going to plug in right here. This is our steering wheel control input harness. Connects in over here. This is the audio video input harness for the reverse camera. The wired mic, this performs all the Bluetooth, VR functions, and hands-free calling. That plugs into the microphone plug that we plugged in previously. The GPS antenna plugs in over here. Connect the LVDS connection USB cable here. And the LVDS power connection here. Now we're just about ready to tuck all these cables away and throw this inside the dash of the vehicle.